And we are back. And before we announce this exciting news, we brought back one of our favorite guests of EventIcons. This is the third time you've been on in the last few months?
I think it's the third time.
Yeah.
Previously, I've worn the same outfit. So anyone looking at old on our website, it's going to look like this is one long interview.
So this is Fiona Pelham. Fiona, tell anyone who may be seeing you for the first time on our show who you are, what you do.
So I am CEO of Positive Impact Events, a not-for-profit that exists to create a sustainable event industry. And since 2004, I have focused on that, on creating an event industry where every time there's an event, there is a positive social, environmental, and economic impact.
And one of the reasons that we have brought you on the show so much recently is because we're getting updates. It's very exciting. You have a big project going on right now. Tell us a bit about your work with the UN.
Yes. So the week of the 23rd of September is the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals Summit. The Sustainable Development Goals are 17 goals that were created for the world to work for everybody. And they were launched in 2016. And this year, the United Nations has said, how do we accelerate our progress towards those goals? Now, for me, it was a no-brainer because those goals go from gender equality to no food poverty to equal opportunities for all, and events are needed to achieve that. People need to come together, innovate, create. So over the last few months, we've been doing a lot of work telling the story about the role of events in meeting the Sustainable Development Goals.
Yeah, so for those of you who are interested in hearing a little bit more about the background there and seeing kind of this progress, because that's one of the great things about the show and having you on is we talked for the first time about this in Frankfurt.
Yes.
And then we had you on the show to talk more about updates.
Yes.
So, we're 2 weeks out.
It's been a crazy journey as well because really what we're talking about is changing the way we speak about the event industry. And that's not easy. So there's opposition. I have really embraced this year being a disruptor and being someone that's saying, hey, let's do things differently. So let me get a bit techie and tell you how our industry could look. Techie in my terms, probably not yours. So these 17 goals all have targets and indicators. One goal is quality education. And one target is that every learner is given education to live a sustainable life, a life with peace, with gender equality, with human rights, with a sustainable lifestyle. Now, learner right now refers to if you're at school. Well, what does the event industry do apart from educate everybody that's not
You learn every day.
Yeah. And you can go to an event and you can have your first vegetarian food and think, that's it. I want to be a vegetarian. Or you could go to an event and be inspired by the panel of 50% women, 50% men and think, that's it. I want to increase my leadership.
Right.
So the event industry has a big role to play here.
So you mentioned being a disruptor. I'm going to ask an interesting question. I'm not sure if you've been asked. What needs to be disrupted?
Oh, wow. The whole way that we speak about the event industry externally. We're here at IMAX. There are a lot of people here at IMAX. But in August, we did a survey and we had over 58 countries complete the survey, 50 professionals from 58 different countries. Not everybody who's involved in events is at IMAX. Right. And sometimes I think we think that this is our world and we just need to organize within our world. We need to be going outside to the United Nations, to businesses, and to be saying, look, events bring people together. Events are how to educate people. Let's have a conversation about that.
You mean we shouldn't spend all our time just talking to ourselves?
No. We do a great job with it, but where are we talking to strategic influencers? Where are we talking to global governments about the role of events? Where are we talking to businesses like the heads of marketing about not using print or technology, but using the face-to-face piece? It would be so easy for a head of sustainability to look at our industry and say, that meeting everybody had to fly to, that's a big carbon footprint. we could get rid of the cost of the meeting and the carbon footprint of the meeting, and it would be a win-win.
Right.
And that could happen because our industry isn't strategically saying, bring us together and face-to-face we'll create and we'll collaborate, and that's how we'll find solutions to the goals.
So when you think about the future of the industry, you know, I just attended a marketing conference last week, and one of the things that they were talking about a lot at the event was that these marketing teams are using events now more and more, and the percentage is going up very high because the face-to-face interaction, you can't buy that, right? You can't buy that with an ad. And it's an opportunity to interact face-to-face with your customers. Yeah. And yet the people I find that are putting on those events are the marketing team. Now, for event planners who've been in the industry, like the people who are here at IMEX and, you know, MPI events and PCMA, et cetera, they're used to having these conversations. A marketer putting on their first conference for all their users is not used to talking about sustainability.
I think getting those marketers involved is a really big opportunity for us as an industry. So speaking to the big global businesses and saying, hey, you spend so much money on events. A Coca-Cola, how much money do they spend on activations, experiential, sponsorship, all linked to the face-to-face meetings piece. So being able to collaborate with them and to give them data so that the Coca-Colas of the world can say, here's our sustainability report, and by the way, it talks about our events and the impact that those events have had.
So what's stopping us from reaching those people?
I don't know. I think maybe I sometimes wonder where the leadership for our industry is, and I think we often point to the associations as the leadership within our industry. And, you know, having chaired an association, I look at what we asked the CEO to do. And it wasn't advocacy. It was member engagement, member satisfaction. So I think maybe we're forgetting that leadership is required, and we're just looking at the association model. Right. But there's you know, the IPCC climate report is going to come out in October. Last year, it said, use technology more, use events less. We need to be talking at a global level for when the next report comes out and says that again.
Right.
And I was just speaking with a group of young policymakers in Denmark through a UN initiative. And one of them said to me, but why would I go to an event? And he was seriously asking the question, having grown up with his mobile phone in his pocket and always able to use that. So we have this massive opportunity right now to tell the story of our industry through these sustainable development goals. Every business is following the goals and every government is. So we've got a quick in. Yeah. Will we take it? I don't know.
Hope so. We hope so, right? So what's the next step? So it's in 2 weeks. What next?
So the next step, we are asking every event professional to take to social media using hashtag #ActForSDGs and to give an example of the positive impact their event has. So it can be as easy as saying, my event gathered 100 academics, we all learned about whatever, and then sharing some maybe practical activities that happened within the event. That will help raise the profile of our industry during the UN SDG Summit Week. Positive Impact has submitted an acceleration action, which talks about wanting the industry to report so that global companies can talk about the impact of their events, and also more resources to be put out. Anyone can create education resources to just keep sharing those. And yet to learn about the goals as well would be good, so that we can all speak the same language.
Which makes total sense. Awesome. So for anyone at home, what would be one thing that you would ask of them?
I always ask this when I'm on the show, so maybe I need to give two in case your listeners have already done the one thing that I always ask. So the first thing I always ask is, please sign up to be a Positive Impact Ambassador. 4 times a year, we send you materials so that you can go out and talk about sustainability in your local communities. So the second ask I'm going to say is, start asking your clients about sustainability. Start saying, what are we going to do about this? I just led a session this morning on human rights. So planning your event and considering human rights. And
sustainability is not just green meetings.
Oh, it is so not just green meetings.
And I think that's the language that we currently use when we talk about sustainability, but human rights too.
Absolutely.
It's extremely important.
Absolutely. So if you can be speaking to your clients and saying, how are we considering human rights? That is a conversation starter with the client. Now, most people are not considering human rights, which is why the initiative has been launched by UNICEF UK to have the industry start learning how to do that. But imagine if we were the industry where human rights came to life, where people had the chance to experience peace, experience equality, be inspired to make a difference in the world.
I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's something people can get excited about. And I think it's using that new language and talking about different things. It's not just recycling badges, although that's a great start.
Absolutely, it's more than that. And every event is different.
Yeah.
So in our industry, people love to be told what to do and the right thing to do. But it's really about gathering your stakeholders together and saying, hey, what could we do to be sustainable? The Sustainable Development Goals are great because they're these little visuals that you can look at. So it's a great way to gather your stakeholders and say, hey, what could we do about this, this, and this? And actually, MPI, my nice little badge here.
Yes, little pin. You can, if you're here on site, you can get them at the MPI booth.
Yeah, so it's a breast cancer, and this one I got for my friend Catherine. But MPI just doing that and putting that at the show is a great way of going beyond event planning.
Right.
So.
And, I think it is important that we think about the industry beyond just our industry, which, is something that you're working on. So we thank you again for being on the show, Fiona.
Thank you for having me.
For anyone who's seeing this for the first time, I encourage you to check out past episodes with Fiona to hear more about the initiatives. And we look forward to the next update, which will probably be after
hopefully September the 23rd. My goal is, in the next 2 weeks, there's some communication from the UN where they say, hey, the event industry could help us accelerate towards the goals. And then who knows what will happen.
Is there a place online where people can read more information?
All on the Positive Impact website, there is loads of information. Or you can just Google for the UN SDG Summit and read about that summit and other people's acceleration actions.
Great. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
And stay tuned for our next guest.